First contact and rescue. The vastness of space stretched out before Captain Ilara Chen as she piloted her small scout ship through the debris field a long-abandoned space station. The United Earth Space Force had sent her to investigate strange energy readings in this remote sector, far from any charted systems. As she maneuvered through the floating wreckage, her ship's sensors suddenly blared to life. Unknown life form detected, the AI assistant chirped. Faint biosignature. Location: within the central hub of the derelict station. Ilara's heart raced. First contact. Out here. It seemed impossible, yet the readings were clear. She brought her ship alongside a jagged opening in the station's hull and prepared for EVA. As she floated through the eerily silent corridors, the beam of her helmet light cut through decades of dust. The air was thin but breathable, preserved by the station's failing life support systems. Ilara followed her scanner's guidance, moving deeper into the heart of the abandoned structure. She rounded a corner and froze. There, suspended in a flickering stasis field, was a sight that would change the course of human history. An alien. Its form was vaguely humanoid, but with iridescent scales covering its slender body. Large, almond-shaped eyes were closed in what appeared to be sleep, or something far worse. Ilara approached cautiously, her training battling with her curiosity. The alien was clearly restrained, held in place by a complex network of energy tethers. Who had done this, and why? As she studied the control panel, trying to decipher its alien symbols, a soft chime from her suit alerted her to a change. The stasis field was failing. In mere moments, the alien would either wake or die. Ilara made a split-second decision. She wasn't about to let a potential first contact end in tragedy. Her fingers flew over the panel, using a combination of intuition and the universal language of mathematics to crack its code. With a hiss and a spark, the energy tethers disappeared. The alien's eyes snapped open, revealing irises of swirling silver. It gasped, collapsing forward into Ilara's arms. She staggered under its unexpected weight, her suit's servos whining as they compensated. "Easy there," Ilara said softly, knowing her words wouldn't be understood, but hoping her tone would convey her intentions. "I've got you. You're safe now." The alien's gaze locked onto hers, a mix of fear and wonder in those otherworldly eyes. It made a series of clicks and whistles, clearly trying to communicate. Ilara's translator worked furiously but came up empty. This was a truly unknown language. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. The sound galvanized the alien into action. It grabbed Ilara's arm, pulling her towards a different corridor than the one she'd entered through. Its strength was surprising, and Ilara found herself half running, half floating to keep up. They emerged into a vast hangar bay, filled with sleek ships of designs Ilara had never seen before. The alien rushed to the nearest one, placing its hand on a smooth panel. The ship hummed to life, a hatch opening invitingly. Ilara hesitated. This was far beyond the scope of her mission. But as the alarms grew louder and the station shuddered ominously around them, she realized she had no choice. She followed the alien into the ship. The interior was a marvel of technology, but Ilara had no time to admire it. The alien was at the controls, its fingers dancing over holographic displays. Through the view screen, Ilara saw other ships powering up, their weapons charging. "We've got company," she shouted, pointing at the threat. The alien nodded, understanding the urgency if not the words. The ship lifted off, darting through the hangar bay doors, just as energy blasts scorched the spot where they had been moments before. What followed was the most intense space battle Ilara had ever experienced. The alien's piloting skills were incredible, weaving through asteroid fields and using the debris of the station for cover. Ilara manned the weapons systems, her military training kicking in as she targeted their pursuers. Working together, human and alien, they managed to outmaneuver and outgun their attackers. As the last enemy ship spiraled away, trailing plasma, Ilara let out a whoop of triumph. The alien turned to her, a small smile playing on its lips. It made a gesture, pointing to itself and then to Ilara, before bringing its hands together. The meaning was clear. Together, we did this. As the adrenaline faded, the enormity of what had just happened began to sink in. Ilara had not only made first contact, but had rescued an alien prisoner and engaged in a space battle with unknown hostiles. The repercussions of this would be felt across the galaxy. The alien approached her, its movements cautious but no longer fearful. It placed a hand on its chest and made a series of musical tones. Ilara realized it was trying to introduce itself. "I'm Ilara," she said, mirroring the gesture. "Captain Ilara Chen of the United Earth Space Force." The alien tilted its head, listening intently. Then, to Ilara's astonishment, it spoke. The words were halting and accented, but unmistakably English. "Ilara," it said carefully. "I am Zarkon. Thank you for saving me." Ilara's jaw dropped. You can speak our language." Zarkon nodded. "Learning, quick. Your mind, open to me. I see words." Telepathy. The implications were staggering. Ilara took a deep breath, centering herself. There would be time for questions later. Right now, they needed to focus on staying alive and getting to safety. "Zarkon," she said, "we need to contact my people. Can you set a course for Earth?" The alien's silver eyes widened. "Earth? No. Danger. Great danger for all." Ilara frowned. "What do you mean? What danger?" Zarkon's expression was grim. "Those who held me, they come. To conquer. To destroy. Must warn, must prepare." As the ship hurtled through space, leaving the battle far behind, Ilara realized that her simple reconnaissance mission had turned into something far greater. She had stumbled upon a threat to Earth, to all of humanity. And their only hope might be this mysterious alien she had just rescued. "All right," Ilara said, squaring her shoulders. "Then let's get to work. Tell me everything you know, Zarkon. We've got a planet to save." As Zarkon began to share its knowledge, the stars streaked by outside the ship's view screen. The journey to save Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, had only just begun. The journey begins. The alien ship hummed softly as it glided through the star-studded void. Captain Ilara Chen sat cross-legged on the floor of the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display hovering before her. Across from her, Zarkon's iridescent scales shimmered as the alien manipulated complex equations with graceful gestures. "So, let me get this straight," Ilara said, rubbing her temples. "The beings who imprisoned you call them the Void Collective. They're not just after Earth. They're harvesting entire planets for some kind of cosmic energy." Zarkon's silver eyes blinked in affirmation. "Essence of life. They drain, convert to power, fuel for great machine." Ilara shuddered. The idea of entire worlds being consumed was almost too horrific to contemplate. "And you believe Earth is next on their list?" "Not believe. No." Zarkon's tone was grim. "Earth, special. Unique energy signature. Void Collective seek for eons." As Ilara processed this information, a sudden tremor ran through the ship. Alarms blared, and the holographic display flickered wildly. "What's happening?" Ilara shouted, scrambling to her feet. Zarkon's fingers danced over the controls. "Quantum disturbance, ship pulled off course." The view screen came to life, revealing a sight that made Ilara's breath catch in her throat. Before them stretched a vast, shimmering web of energy, pulsing with colors she had no names for. Tendrils of light reached out, ensnaring their ship and pulling them inexorably closer. Some kind of space-time anomaly. Ilara guessed, her scientific mind racing to make sense of what she was seeing. Zarkon shook its head. No, living entity. Ancient. Powerful. As if in response to Zarkon's words, a booming voice filled their minds, bypassing their ears entirely. "Travelers, UAAVENTLEE, the domain of the cosmic weaver. State your purpose or be unmade. Ilara and Zarkon exchanged glances. The human captain took a deep breath and stepped forward. Great, Cosmic Weaver, she began, hoping her voice sounded more confident than she felt. We seek passage to Earth. Our mission is urgent. The fate of countless worlds hangs in the balance. There was a long moment of silence. Then the voice returned, tinged with curiosity. Your mind is a speak truth, yet you cannot not fuel a skilo of your quest. Come, be JGD. Before either of them could react, tendrils of energy wrapped around their bodies. Ilara felt a strange sensation, as if her very essence was being pulled from her physical form. The ship, the stars, even her own body faded away, leaving only consciousness suspended in an ocean of light. Images flashed through her mind. Earth, blue and beautiful. The Void Collective's massive ships, dark and ominous. Countless alien worlds, teeming with life. And through it all, threads of energy connecting everything, pulsing with a rhythm that felt achingly familiar. Then, as suddenly as it began, the experience ended. Ilara found herself back on the ship's bridge, gasping for air. Zarkon stood nearby, its scales flickering with rapid color changes, a sign of distress, she guessed. What? What was that? Ilara managed to ask. Test, Zarkon replied, its voice shaky. Cosmic Weaver, saw our hearts, our intentions. The booming voice returned, softer now, almost gentle. UAKVBEN weighted, and if FAU and worthy, children of distant STRs. Your quest is noble, yet TFRAGHT with peril. The violate coalesce TIV, CE cast to unrevealed lily very favorite of existence. They must be stopped. A surge of energy coursed through the ship's systems. New displays sprang to life, showing star charts and hyperspace routes Ilara had never seen before. I grant you safe passage through my domain and BES203. UP on you a fraction of my power. Use it wisely, for the battle ahead. Will CHALLENG in WAYs you cannot yet imagine. Ilara felt a tingling sensation throughout her body. Looking down, she saw faint lines of energy tracing patterns on her skin, like luminous tattoos. Beside her, Zarkon's scales now shimmered with an inner light. Thank you, Cosmic Weaver, Ilara said, bowing her head in gratitude. Go you, and remember, the strength you seek lies not in weapons or technology, but in the bonds you forge. Unitd, you may yet save us all. The energy web before them parted, revealing a swirling vortex of stardust and light. As their ship surged forward, guided by the Cosmic Weaver's power, Ilara turned to Zarkon. I don't suppose your people have a manual for wielding cosmic energy, she asked, only half joking. Zarkon's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. Learn together. Adapt. Survive. As they plunged into the vortex, leaving the Cosmic Weaver's domain behind, Ilara felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. They were hurtling towards Earth with newfound power and purpose, but also racing against time. The Void Collective was out there, threatening not just her homeworld, but the very fabric of the universe. All right, she said, squaring her shoulders. Let's see what this ship can really do. We've got a lot of ground to cover and not much time. Zarkon nodded, its silver eyes gleaming with determination. As one, human and alien, they began to explore their enhanced abilities and the ship's upgraded systems. The journey to Earth would be perilous, but with the Cosmic Weaver's blessing and their growing bond, they stood a fighting chance. Little did they know, their adventure was about to take yet another unexpected turn, one that would challenge everything they thought they knew about the universe and their place in it. Echoes of the forgotten. The vortex spat out Elara and Zarkon's ship into an unfamiliar star system. Swirling nebulae painted the void in hues of crimson and gold, while a massive binary star system pulsed at the center. Elara's eyes widened as she took in the sight. "This isn't anywhere near Earth," she muttered, checking the navigational systems. "Zarkon, any idea where we are?" The alien's scales rippled with confusion. "Unknown. Star charts. Do not match." Suddenly, the ship's sensors blared to life. A massive object was rapidly approaching from the system's outer reaches. As it drew closer, Elara gasped. It wasn't a ship or an asteroid, it was a planet. A planet moving at impossible speeds. "Brace for impact," Elara shouted. The expected collision never came. Instead, the rogue planet slowed to a stop right beside their ship. Its surface was a maze of geometric patterns, glowing with an inner light. A melodic chime filled the bridge, and a holographic figure materialized before them. It was humanoid in shape, but its body seemed to be composed of pure energy, constantly shifting and reforming. "Welcome, travelers," the being said, its voice a symphony of harmonics. "I am Eon, last guardian of the Chronos Archive. Your arrival has been foretold." Elara and Zarkon exchanged bewildered glances. "Foretold?" Elara asked. "By whom?" Eon's form rippled with amusement. "By you, of course. Or rather, by the you that will be. Time is fluid here." Before either of them could process this, Eon continued, "You seek to stop the Void Collective. A noble goal, but one that cannot be achieved through force alone. The key to their defeat lies in understanding their origin." With a gesture, Eon transformed the bridge into a three-dimensional historical record. Elara and Zarkon found themselves surrounded by holographic scenes from the distant past. "Billions of years ago," Eon explained, "the universe faced a crisis. Entropy was accelerating, threatening to bring about heat death far sooner than it should have. A coalition of the most advanced civilizations came together to find a solution. The scenes shifted, showing beings of incredible diversity working together on massive projects. They created the cosmic engine, a device capable of reversing entropy on a universal scale. But power corrupts, and soon factions formed. Those who would become the Void Collective believed that sacrificing lesser civilizations to fuel the engine was an acceptable cost. The others disagreed. Elara watched in horror as worlds were consumed, their energy funneled into a colossal machine at the heart of a galaxy. "A war erupted," Eon continued, "one that reshaped the very nature of reality. In the end, the Void Collective was defeated, but at a terrible cost. The survivors, my people, used the last of their strength to scatter the pieces of the cosmic engine across time and space, hoping they would never be reunited." Zarkon's eyes flashed with recognition. "The great machine, Void Collective, seeks to rebuild." Eon nodded sullenly. "They believe it's the only way to save the universe from eventual heat death, but their methods will bring about a far worse fate." Elara's mind raced. "So to stop them, we need to find these scattered pieces first." "Yes and no," Eon replied cryptically. "The pieces aren't just physical components. They're concepts, laws of physics given form. To truly wield them, you must embody their principles." Suddenly, the holographic display flickered. Eon's form became translucent. "Our time grows short. The archive cannot maintain this bubble of slow time much longer. You must." But before Eon could finish, alarms blared. The rogue planet shuddered, and cracks appeared in its surface. "We're under attack," Elara shouted, rushing to the ship's controls. Zarkon's fingers danced over the holographic interface. "Void Collective ships. Dozens. How did they find us?" Eon's voice grew faint. "The pieces call to each other across time and space. You've been touched by the Cosmic Weaver. They sensed that power." The planet's surface was crumbling now, revealing a core of pure energy. Eon turned to Ilara and Zarkon, its form barely visible. "I'm sorry. I cannot protect you any longer, but I can give you a chance." The being's essence seemed to flow into the ship's systems. "I'm imprinting the locations of the cosmic engine pieces into your vessel's air. Find them, learn from them, and whatever you do, don't let the Void Collective." Heon's words were cut off as the planet exploded in a blinding flash of light. Ilara and Zarkon's ship was catapulted through space, tumbling end over end. Warning lights flashed across every console. As Ilara fought to regain control of the ship, she saw the Void Collective's fleet emerging from the debris field. Their massive ships, black as the space between stars, bristled with weapons. "Zarkon," she shouted, "we need an exit strategy." The alien's scales pulsed with concentrated effort. Working. Ship's AI. Integrating Eon's data. New ability unlocked. Suddenly, a shimmering portal opened before them, reminiscent of the Cosmic Weaver's domain, but somehow different. "Temporal jump," Zarkon explained quickly. "Unpredictable, but only escape." Ilara gritted her teeth. "Do it." As the first volley of Void Collective weapons fire streaked towards them, their ship plunged into the portal. Reality twisted around them, time and space becoming a kaleidoscope of possibility. When the universe finally stabilized, Ilara found herself staring at a familiar blue-green orb. "Earth," she whispered, "we made it." But something was wrong. The continents were different, the atmosphere thicker. And orbiting the planet was a vast ring system that had definitely not been there when she left. Zarkon consulted the ship's readouts, its eyes widening in disbelief. "Ilara, we're home, but not when we expected." "When are we?" Ilara asked, dreading the answer. Zarkon's voice was hushed with awe and fear. According to planetary analysis and stellar positioning, approximately 100 million years in Earth's future. As the implications of their temporal displacement sank in, a new alert chimed. The ship's AI had finished processing Eon's data. A star map appeared, showing the locations of the scattered cosmic engine pieces across time and space. Ilara and Zarkon shared a look of determination. Their mission had become far more complex than they could have imagined. But with the fate of the entire time stream hanging in the balance, failure was not an option. "Well," Ilara said, a wry smile on her face, "I guess we've got some time hopping to do. Ready to make history, or maybe unmake it." Zarkon's scales shimmered with what Ilara now recognized as excitement. Together, always. As they prepared to embark on their dimension-spanning quest, neither human nor alien could shake the feeling that the greatest challenges and the greatest wonders still lay ahead. The quantum carnival. The temporal jump had taken more out of their ship than Ilara and Zarkon had realized. As they drifted in Earth's future orbit, systems began to fail one by one. "We need to land," Ilara said, eyeing the critical warning lights. "Any ideas where? This Earth is different." Zarkon's scales pulsed with concentration as it interfaced with the ship's sensors. Suddenly, its eyes widened. "Anomaly detected. Artificial structure, massive, extends from surface to upper atmosphere." As they descended through the thick, opalescent clouds, a structure like nothing Ilara had ever imagined came into view. It was a colossal spire, spiraling up from the ground, its surface a shifting tapestry of light and color. Around its base sprawled a city that defied physics, with buildings that phased in and out of existence and streets that looped in impossible Mobius strips. "What is this place?" Ilara whispered in awe. Their ship, guided by the last dregs of its power, brought them to a landing platform that materialized out of thin air. As the hatch opened, they were hit by a wave of sounds, smells, and sensations that overwhelmed their senses. A figure approached, or rather multiple figures that seemed to occupy the same space simultaneously. It spoke, its voice a chorus of harmonies. "Welcome, travelers, to the Quantum Carnival. You're just in time for the millennial celebration of the great probability shift. Elara and Zarkon exchanged confused glances. I'm Captain Elara Chen, and this is Zarkon. We're not from around here. Our ship is damaged, and we're on an urgent mission. The figuress laughed, the sound rippling through multiple dimensions. Of course you are. Everyone who comes to the carnival is on an urgent mission. That's the fun of it. I'm the probability architect, by the way. Come, let me show you around while your ship is being quantum recalibrated. As they followed the probability architect into the chaotic beauty of the quantum carnival, Elara tried to make sense of her surroundings. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and dimensional states wandered past. Some were clearly aliens, others seemed to be evolved forms of Earth life, and still others defied categorization entirely. The quantum carnival. The temporal jump had taken more out of their ship than Elara and Zarkon had realized. As they drifted in Earth's future orbit, systems began to fail one by one. We need to land, Elara said, eyeing the critical warning lights. Any ideas where? This Earth is different. Zarkon's scales pulsed with concentration as it interfaced with the ship's sensors. Suddenly, its eyes widened. Anomaly detected. Artificial structure, massive, extends from surface to upper atmosphere. As they descended through the thick, opalescent clouds, a structure like nothing Elara had ever imagined came into view. It was a colossal spire, spiraling up from the ground, its surface a shifting tapestry of light and color. Around its base sprawled a city that defied physics, with buildings that phased in and out of existence and streets that looped in impossible Mobius strips. What is this place? Elara whispered in awe. Their ship, guided by the last dregs of its power, brought them to a landing platform that materialized out of thin air. As the hatch opened, they were hit by a wave of sounds, smells, and sensations that overwhelmed their senses. A figure approached, or rather multiple figures that seemed to occupy the same space simultaneously. It spoke, its voice a chorus of harmonies. Welcome, travelers, to the Quantum Carnival. You're just in time for the millennial celebration of the great probability shift. Elara and Zarkon exchanged confused glances. I'm Captain Elara Chen, and this is Zarkon. We're not from around here. Our ship is damaged, and we're on an urgent mission. The figuress laughed, the sound rippling through multiple dimensions. Of course you are. Everyone who comes to the carnival is on an urgent mission. That's the fun of it. I'm the probability architect, by the way. Come, let me show you around while your ship is being quantum recalibrated. As they followed the probability architect into the chaotic beauty of the quantum carnival, Elara tried to make sense of her surroundings. Beings of all shapes, sizes, and dimensional states wandered past. Some were clearly aliens, others seemed to be evolved forms of Earth life, and still others defied categorization entirely. You see, the architect explained, its multiple forms gesticulating wildly 100 million years ago, your time, I believe, humanity discovered the secret of quantum manipulation on a macro scale. Reality itself became flexible. They passed a booth where carnival goers were literally rolling dice to determine their physical forms for the day. Another stall offered Schrödinger's snacks, food that was simultaneously there and not there until you bit into it. But it was the discovery of the cosmic engine fragment that really changed everything, the architect continued. Suddenly, we could not only manipulate quantum states, but probability itself. Elara and Zarkon froze. Did you say cosmic engine fragment? Zarkon asked, its scales flickering with excitement. The architect's many faces smiled knowingly. Indeed, it's the heart of our carnival, the source of all this wonderful chaos. Would you like to see it? They were led to the base of the great spire. There, suspended in a swirling vortex of energy, was a small, unassuming cube. Yet looking at it made Elara's eyes water, as if she was trying to comprehend infinity. Beautiful, isn't it? The architect sighed. It allows us to live in a state of quantum superposition. Every possibility exists simultaneously here. It's quite freeing, really. But Ilara's mind was racing. If this was one of the cosmic engine pieces, they needed to secure it. But how could they take it without collapsing the entire quantum state of this future Earth? Before she could formulate a plan, alarms blared throughout the carnival. The sky darkened as massive ships appeared, the unmistakable fleet of the Void Collective. "Oh my," the architect said, its multiple forms flickering with concern. This wasn't supposed to happen for at least another 3 probability shifts. Chaos erupted as carnival-goers ran in all directions, some quite literally through walls or into pocket dimensions. The Void Collective ships opened fire, their energy beams causing localized collapses in the quantum field. "We need to protect the fragment," Ilara shouted over the din. Zarkon was already moving, its body shifting through quantum states as it adapted to the carnival's reality. It reached the fragment's containment field and began interfacing with it, its scales pulsing with incredible energy. Ilara turned to the architect. "Is there any way to use the fragment's power to defend against the attack?" The architect's many faces looked thoughtful. "Well, theoretically, if we could entangle the fragment's quantum state with the entire carnival, we could create a probability shield. But the calculations required, it would take lifetimes." Ilara's eyes gleamed. "Not if we use every possible version of ourselves to do it simultaneously." Understanding dawned on the architect's faces. "Brilliant, but the strain on your consciousness, you might lose yourself in the quantum foam." "It's a risk we have to take," Ilara said firmly. She joined Zarkon at the containment field. "Ready to become every version of ourselves, partner." Zarkon's silver eyes met hers. "Together, all of us." They plunged their hands into the swirling energy of the fragment. Instantly, Ilara felt her consciousness expand exponentially. She was every possible version of herself across infinite timelines: scientist, warrior, artist, leader, and more. Besides her, Zarkon's consciousness bloomed into a vast alien tapestry of possibilities. Together, that infinite cells worked on the calculations, each version tackling a different aspect of the problem. The architect acted as a conduit, channeling their efforts into the carnival's quantum infrastructure. As the Void Collective's weapons battered against the forming probability shield, Ilara felt herself slipping away, lost in the vastness of her own potential selves. But then she felt a tendril of thought from Zarkon, not just one, but every possible Zarkon reaching out to every possible her. With a monumental effort, they pulled themselves back, coalescing their infinite cells into their primary forms. The probability shield snapped into place just as the Void Collective unleashed its greatest weapon. The attack hit the shield and shattered into countless harmless timelines, each one fizzling out of existence. The carnival was saved. As the adrenaline faded, Ilara realized something had changed. The quantum state of the fragment had stabilized, and with it, the entire carnival. The chaotic shifting of reality calmed, settling into a new, more coherent state. The architect looked around in wonder. "You've done it. You've stabilized the quantum field. We can still access multiple states, but now we have control." Zarkon's scales shimmered with newfound energy. "Fragment, bonded with us, part of us now." Ilara nodded, feeling the truth of it. The fragment's power hummed within them, waiting to be fully understood and utilized. The architect's faces beamed with joy. "You came seeking the fragment, but you've given us so much more. You've transformed our entire society. How can we ever thank you?" Ilara smiled warily. "Just point us to the next fragment. We've got a universe to save, and I have a feeling things are only going to get stranger from here." As they prepared to leave the quantum carnival, now armed with the power of quantum probability itself, Ilara and Zarkon knew that their journey had only just begun. The Void Collective was still out there, and the remaining fragments of the cosmic engine were waiting to be found. But with their newfound powers and their unbreakable bond, they were ready to face whatever the vast, weird universe had in store for them. the synesthesia nexus. As Elara and Zarkon's ship pierced the veil between realities, the quantum energies they had absorbed from the carnival fragment pulsed erratically. Space-time warped around them, stars stretching into infinite lines of light before suddenly compressing into a single point. Zarkon, Elara shouted over the groaning of the ship's hull. "Something's wrong with the nav system. I can't." Her words cut off abruptly as a wave of something washed over them. Suddenly, Elara could taste the alarm klaxons, their shrill wails leaving a bitter, metallic flavor on her tongue. The starfield visible through the viewscreen became a symphony of colors, each hue singing a different note in a cosmic orchestra. Zarkon's scales flashed in patterns that Elara could somehow smell, a mix of ozone and cinnamon. Sensory recalibration, the alien managed to say, its voice feeling like silk against Elara's skin. Reality, different here. With a final lurch, their ship emerged into a space that defied comprehension. They were surrounded by what appeared to be enormous, pulsating neurons, each one larger than a planet. Synapses fired between them, carrying bursts of sensory information, flashes of light that tasted like laughter, clouds of sound that left tactile impressions, aromas that painted vivid images in their minds. A presence made itself known, not through sight or sound, but as a complex flavor that unfolded on Elara's palate, accompanied by a shift in the gravity around them. "Welcome to the synesthesia nexus," the presence communicated, its thoughts a cascade of interlinked sensations. "I am the sensory weaver, custodian of this realm. Your arrival has caused quite a stir in the taste-light spectrum." Elara struggled to form words, her own thoughts now a jumble of crossed sensory wires. "We were searching for fragments of the cosmic engine. Our mission is urgent, the Void Collective." "Ah yes," the sensory weaver interrupted, its acknowledgement a cool breeze carrying the scent of old books. "The cosmic engine. Its fragment here has long been the cornerstone of our sensory matrix. But perhaps it's time for a change. Come, let me show you." Their ship was enveloped in a bubble of shifting perceptions and drawn deeper into the neural network of the Nexus. As they traveled, Elara and Zarkon witnessed impossible feats of sensory manipulation. Beings of pure thought danced in fields of solid sound. Philosophers debated by exchanging complex tapestries of flavor and texture. Artists created masterpieces by sculpting gravity itself. "You see," the sensory weaver explained, its words leaving trails of bioluminescence in the space around them, "the fragment here doesn't just allow us to experience sensory input differently. It lets us manipulate the very fabric of perception across multiple dimensions." They arrived at what seemed to be the Nexus core, a swirling maelstrom of pure sensory data, at the heart of which floated another piece of the cosmic engine. Unlike the quantum cube they had encountered at the carnival, this fragment was constantly shifting its form, as if unable to decide what it wanted to be. "Fascinating," Zarkon whispered, the word leaving a trail of fractal patterns in the air. "But how do we integrate it? Last time, we nearly lost ourselves." The sensory weaver's response was a complex chord that vibrated through their bodies. The fragment cannot simply be taken, it must be experienced, understood at the deepest level of perception. Are you willing to risk your very understanding of reality? Elara and Zarkon exchanged a glance that conveyed more than words ever could in this strange realm. They nodded in unison. Then let the sensory synchronization begin, the weaver intoned, its declaration tasting of anticipation and smelling of ozone. The maelstrom of sensory data engulfed them. Elara felt her consciousness expand, not into infinite versions of herself like before, but into infinite ways of perceiving. She was simultaneously experiencing every possible sensory input from every possible sensory organ across countless species and dimensions. Beside her, Zarkon's essence intertwined with hers, their perceptions merging and separating in a cosmic dance of understanding. Together, they delved deeper into the heart of sensation itself, approaching the true nature of the fragment's power. Just as they felt they were on the verge of enlightenment, A discordant note shattered the harmony of the nexus. The Void Collective had arrived, their presence an oil slick of wrongness across the sensory landscape. But this time, Ilara and Zarkon were ready. Drawing upon their newfound understanding of perception itself, they reached out to the very fabric of the synesthesia nexus. Reality bent to their will. They turned the Void Collective's visual spectrum into a frequency only perceivable through taste. They shifted the enemy's sense of balance into the ultraviolet range. Weapons fire became soothing lullabies, and terrifying psychological attacks transformed into pleasing aromas. The Void Collective fleet, unable to perceive or interact with the Nexus in any meaningful way, fell into disarray. Ship crashed into ship as their pilots lost all sense of direction and dimension. As the threat subsided, Ilara and Zarkon found themselves changed. The fragment had bonded with them, yes, but more than that, it had fundamentally altered their understanding of reality. They could perceive and manipulate sensory input at will, across vast distances and multiple dimensions. The sensory weaver's satisfaction was a warm, golden glow that tasted of victory. You have done well, travelers. The fragment is yours, as is the knowledge of the synesthesia nexus. Use it wisely, for you now hold the power to reshape perception itself. As they prepared to leave, their ship now integrated with their enhanced sensory abilities, Ilara turned to Zarkon. The alien's true form was now clear to her, a beautiful tapestry of sensations that transcended its physical appearance. Ready for the next challenge, she asked, her words a symphony of color and texture. Zarkon's response was a burst of joyous light that smelled of home and felt like hope. Always, Ilara. The universe awaits. Their ship merged with the sensory fabric of space, propelling them towards their next destination. The Void Collective still loomed as a threat, but with each fragment, Ilara and Zarkon were becoming something more than their original selves, something that might just be capable of saving all of reality. As they navigated the boundary between dimensions, both knew that their greatest trials and greatest discoveries still lay ahead. The cosmic tapestry of existence stretched before them, waiting to be experienced in ways no beings had ever done before. The Paradox Labyrinth. As Ilara and Zarkon's ship phased through the membrane of reality, their enhanced senses detected something profoundly wrong. The fabric of space-time around them wasn't just bending, it was fracturing, splintering into countless shards of possibility. Brace for. Ilara's warning was cut short as they were suddenly everywhere and everywhere at once. They were floating in the primordial soup of Earth's early oceans. They were witnessing the heat death of the universe. They were the first spark of consciousness in a newborn star. They were the last thought of a dying galaxy. With monumental effort, Ilara and Zarkon pulled their fragmented consciousness back together. They found themselves standing on a path made of crystallized time, surrounded by an ever-shifting maze of mirrors. Each reflective surface showed a different moment in history, a different potential future, a different version of themselves. Welcome to the Paradox Labyrinth, a voice echoed from everywhere and nowhere. I am Era, the keeper of contradictions. You seek the cosmic engine fragment, yes? Be warned, here cause and effect are negotiable. Before they could respond, the ground beneath them dissolved. They fell through layers of reality, each one stranger than the last. In one, they watched themselves arrive a labyrinth. In another, they saw their own deaths 1,000 different ways. Finally, they landed in a vast chamber. At its center floated the cosmic engine fragment, a Mobius strip of pure chronological energy. To claim the fragment, Era's voice resonated, you must resolve the ultimate paradox. Observe. The air shimmered, and a scene unfolded before them. It showed the creation of the Void Collective, aeons ago, but something was wrong. Among the founders stood Ilara and Zarkon. Impossible, Zarkon whispered, its scales flickering with disbelief. In this timeline, you are the ones who proposed the idea of harvesting worlds to power the cosmic engine, Era explained. Your future selves traveled back in time, believing it was the only way to save the universe from entropy. You are both the heroes and the villains of this story. Ilara's mind reeled. But that's not us. We would never. Wouldn't you? Era interrupted. To save everything, would you not sacrifice a few? That is the question at the heart of the Void Collective's philosophy. And in this timeline, you answered yes. The implications were staggering. Were they fighting against their own future selves? Was their entire quest a predestined loop, doomed to repeat forever? The paradox must be resolved, Era intoned. You must choose. Accept this timeline, become the founders of the Void Collective, and gain the power of the fragment. Or reject it, erase yourselves from history, and lose everything you fought for. Ilara and Zarkon stood frozen, the weight of all existence pressing down on them. Countless timelines branched out from this moment, each one hinging on their decision. But then Zarkon's scales began to pulse with a strange rhythm. Ilara felt the quantum energies they had absorbed from the carnival fragment resonating in sync. The sensory manipulation powers from the synesthesia nexus hummed to life. Wait, Ilara said, a spark of inspiration igniting in her mind. What if there's a third option? What if we could merge all timelines, reconcile all paradoxes? Zarkon's eyes widened in understanding. Quantum superposition across all of time. Together, they reached out with their combined powers. They touched the Mobius strip fragment, and reality itself bent to their will. Suddenly, they were every version of themselves across all timelines. They were the founders of the Void Collective and its destroyers. They were the saviors of the universe and its doom. Every possibility, every choice, every outcome, all existing simultaneously in a grand cosmic superposition. The paradox labyrinth shuddered. Mirrors cracked, timelines blurred, and the very concept of cause and effect began to lose meaning. What have you done? Era's voice was a mixture of awe and terror. This is unprecedented. The paradoxes, they're resolving themselves. As the cosmic restructuring reached its peak, Ilara and Zarkon felt the fragment merging with them, its power becoming one with their own. But more than that, they felt their consciousness expanding to encompass all of time and space. They saw the Void Collective not as enemies, but as another expression of the universe's drive to survive. They understood the cosmic engine not as a tool, but as a fundamental aspect of reality itself. As the quantum storm subsided, Ilara and Zarkon found themselves back on their ship. The paradox labyrinth, nothing more than a fading memory. But they were forever changed. We are all things now, Zarkon said, its voice resonating with the wisdom of eons. All times, all possibilities. Ilara nodded, feeling the weight of infinity in her mind. The quest isn't about stopping the Void Collective anymore. It's about guiding the entire universe towards a new state of being. As their ship prepared to journey to the final fragment, they realized that the lines between hero and villain, past and future, self and other had all blurred. They were no longer just Ilara and Zarkon. They were the living embodiment of the universe's potential. The final confrontation loomed ahead, but it would not be a battle. It would be a convergence, a cosmic reconciliation that would redefine the very nature of existence. As they set course for the last fragment, Ilara and Zarkon felt the entirety of time and space watching, waiting, hoping. The true purpose of their journey was finally clear, and the fate of all reality hung in the balance.